Well, hi there. I'm Alan. Welcome back to Faulkner in August. This is my VR video response to Brian at Bookish's chapters 12 through 16. Let's settle in. I have a feeling it's going to be a long one. I can safely say for Brian that we are having a very, very good time and a very good Faulkner in August. And we'd both like to thank everyone who's commented and contributed. It's really made it. I know I repeat myself, and I've said that reading late in August is always a cathartic experience for me. I think Brian did a great job. I really do. And it's been that, and more this time. It's the discovery of new things. I never considered things. I've thought things about this book in the past, and I've had to change my mind about them. I've had to concede. And I'm going to concede once or twice here with Brian on a few things. I'm going to concede on, I think it's a textual fact, and you've heard me say textual compared contriving, thinking that I'm guilty of. I think Brian's guilty of too, I'm going to point it out. But I can see that Doc Hines was the janitor. Before I thought it was I thought the janitor was black, who took JC away on the trip to, the other orphanage. And I still might try to prove that, but it's in chapter 6, and I dug there in that. And I don't want to go back there. We're in chapter, we're in 17, Alan. We're not in chapter 6. Lord. Turn is his name. But, Dennis will say something about, now, Roz, all JC's whores. All the women were whores. Hold on. A doggone moment. That waitress, Bobby, she was white. She was not a whore. Peer pressure, gangbang. They didn't pay that nice girl. But the silver dollar, she tried to shut him up with money, huh? And guess what? He would not have it, would he? No, sirree. Not having it. That poor kid. That poor kid. Nobody understands JC. Motherfucker. Except for me and Dennis, damn it. And I'm tired of sticking up for my man. Like this. I bet I'll be making more this week. I have some more secrets to tell you. But I'm going to leave it with page 282. We're way beyond that. Joanna has a gun. She was prepared. I won't need any light, he said. Light the lamp. Light. I bet he says light somewhere in here again. My eyesight is bad, but he says it one time. He'll say it 3 times in here. Kneel, woman. My name is not woman. It's Christmas. I've already talked about her laying hands on my man JC first. Mottstown. My friends. JC was in Mottstown for the fire. Lena didn't see the fire. The fire started at the end of chapter. Byron Bunch is too much in love to see the fire. I don't know where Brian was going with the, his thing about Byron and Byron spying on Christmas and Joe Blow. Joe Brown. He's not trying to hook. Okay, here. Brian's not watching. This is too busy. Byron Bunch. He's had a site on Beale Street in Memphis. Memphis plays a big part in this book. And so does, sometimes you don't know where to look. Yeah, the chains that I keep telling you, it's the circles. It's the concentric circles that get smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller till we're in. Wait, what county are we in again? I'm lost. Chains. They lead us. Not yet. They point in that direction, don't they? Straight to. X marks the spot. It leads to the mouth of hell. The mouth of hell. Today's the 400th anniversary of the first slaves arriving in Jamestown, Virginia. You see that on the news? The graveyards, the James family, they're doing sonic to find skeletons, and it's fascinating, and it's historical and about time and poignant to what we're doing. Many things to talk about. Yes, you can see it. I don't have a hat on. I dressed up a wee bit. I'm excited. I've got a few secrets to tell you. In fact, not next time, because Brian actually tapes. I wasn't supposed to. Like, first week of September, my thinking, we'll have like a Q&A, question and answer period for Brian and me. And you to ask Brian and I questions about what comes up. And we have a Voxer account. It's under Faulkner in August. If you have trouble finding it, on bighardbooks. I'm going to contest to Brian that Doc Hines is the janitor. That because you have to go back to chapter 6 for all this, but I'm convinced now. First, I thought he had just started the Now I knew that. See the cats, all the stuff's out of the bag now. There's no more devil's advocate coming for me. I don't think so. I hinted around that Joanna Burden is pregnant. JC knows it right at chapter 12. Well, Brian does a great job of getting into this, and the wild sex they're having. She's the wild throes of nymphomania, and so he did a great job of all describing that. Okay, she had begun to get fat, page 261, corrected text. So he knows what's up. So we're to the two notes, and we're to my arguments. The two notes, and maybe it would be better off if we were both dead. Now, does she mean her and Joe Christmas? That's what everyone thinks. Or does she mean her and the baby? Okay, that's two. Joe Brown, and I just don't. There's so many questions, that. And Dennis at Intellectual Reads brings up a lot of stuff. JC's relationships with women, specifically whores, specifically white women. Okay, Bobby, the waitress, but even before that, the dietitian. She was white. Anyway, she offers him what? money. She offers him a silver dollar. How many times does she offer it? Not once, not twice, 3 times. It's uncanny. Joe Christmas must be the most... Is there another character more complex that you know more about, more in depth? I've been thinking about that. Maybe Holden Caulfield? It's a hard one, you know. And I'll go to Joyce every time with Douglas, but The Dark House on 263. You know, I mean, I just start jamming when I get into this text. I'll start looking for a silver dollar. Where's the silver dollar? And then I'll start counting threes, like the pink stuff in the toothpaste, going back to chapter 6. I know we're in chapter 17, you know, but the toothpaste again. And how many times does it say pink? Here's another point that no one caught me in, and that I just caught myself in. I admit, when I'm wrong, JC does take a drink of whiskey, doesn't he, with Bobby on 222. First paragraph, wire ends. Wire ends. He says it twice. I bet you know, he was dizzy. The room went round him slowly and smoothly, as thinking, just wow, I reckon I better get out of here. I reckon I better get out of here. Yet it seemed to be filled with the presence of the blonde woman. That's Bobby. She is white. But the whiskey went down his throat, cold as molasses, without taste. I think JC is safely to say is an alcoholic. Maybe he's sneaking drinks. Maybe it's the berries, Brian points out. I'm not being facetious. It's lack of sleep, lack of eating that can cause psychosis. Love 224, 225, north to Chicago and then into Detroit, and then Detroit. Note WOP, W-O-P, Foreigner, 225. Remember Joe Brown calling Christmas a WOP? You yellow-bellied WOP? Where's that WOP coming from? Just Faulkner dropping hints. Because we know Millie is white. We know that. So, and she says the father is Hispanic, out of her mouth. Hines is so whack-a-deck-a.
What to doodle all the day long.
Lets his daughter die, and 15 is just a whale of a chapter, isn't it? I don't know where to begin. Brian did a great job of it. The first, second, and third phases of your relationship. Thank you, Lord. He did not yet believe that she was mad. He thought that it was because she was pregnant, as he believed that was why she would not let him touch her. He talks about the whiskey business and going to Chicago, Detroit, you know, and here would come the unread note. How many times does Faulkner say light in August? You know, I'm starting to do Finnegan's Wake, and there's concordances to Finnegan's Wake online. You can type in light. How many times does light, L-I-G-H-T, appear in Finnegan's Wake? And it will tell you. I'd like to know how many times light appears in Light in August. I know it appears 3 times from 281 to 282. Her revolver that he somehow gets, and the hallucinations in the car, and then Byron, and we're back to Byron and Lena. Lillian has said, and Roz and others have said, how intense this book is. And I equate it to said about Red Fox and Richard Pryor. They were comedians who would take an audience and they start them out and get them going, reel them in, laughing, and then they bring them down, 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 down. Well, that's Aristotle, isn't it? The denouement comes in, the god of the machine, saves the day. Well, it ain't gonna happen for Joe. Ryan already told you about Hightower. Hightower might have been able to save him. Peg, a woman named Peg made a comment today about, well, misogyny, and she mentioned Georgia, and I mentioned Moultrie, Georgia. And I'm going to talk a bit about that, and then I'll let you guys go. So. Okay, Moultrie, Georgia. I was lucky enough to spend over a year in Moultrie, Georgia, southwest Georgia, 20 miles north of Tallahassee, Florida. At first, I did not like it. I wanted to go there. I chose to go there. It's an academy, call it. Not everyone gets to go there. So I went there, and they flew me from Portland to Moultrie, Georgia. And I didn't like it. It's Bible Belt, and I'm a card-carrying Buddhist. The counselor was a black woman named DeLeon Jones. DeLeon Jones. D-A-L-I-O-N-E Jones. And I immediately liked her. I just liked her. She liked me. And I might get emotional a little bit because not everybody liked her. At least half a dozen people in our group got kicked out, white and black, because they don't like women in authority, numero uno, and they definitely don't like a black woman in authority. Now, I'm a small town boy raised in South Detroit, and I don't know, I never had a problem with her. She, I hope she's alive. She was in fine health, but she was overweight, diabetes, and like that grease, that fried chicken and that, and she was conscious of her eating. And her husband was a preacher, and yes, I went not once but twice, I sure went more, to a Baptist, wearing hats, dressed to the nines. I have so many stories. I lived with 3 other black guys. One guy I lived with briefly, and then I lived with him again in this nice house, and they didn't like that guy. Nobody really did. And it was a racial thing. It was a color thing. It was a dark skin thing. Yep. And that guy was on dialysis, and he just had an attitude, and no one liked him. And at first I was kind of like, cool. And then I really, really, really fell for him, and I'll never forget him. And that's my DeLeon story. And of course, I have more stories about Ms. Jones. We had a code in group where a new guy would come in and have an attitude, or they'd say, and I'd smile at Ms. Jones, and she'd look away and nod, and I'd look out from under my hat, and I'd kind of give it to the new guy, and we had a lot of fun there.